When did you start with Quest Nutrition?
It really happened serendipitously. I was in the gym. I had my own successful bodyguard business, and I was involved with the biggest limousine company in LA. And the founder of Quest, honestly, she was an attractive woman who did cardio. And I do cardio next to her, making small talk. And she always read bodybuilding magazines. And you get to know your gym friends, right?
Yeah, gym friends, yeah.
One day she said, hey, I want you to try this protein bar. We just started this company. Gave me 2 flavors. At the time, they only had 2 flavors. And I left, and I saw her like the next week and said, those bars are pretty amazing, Shannon, because at that time, as you know, protein bars are not that great. But they mastered the test and the taste and the texture. So I saw her, time just kind of flew by, and I saw her a couple weeks later. I said, hey, one of my celebrity friends is hosting a golf tournament at Riviera. If you have some extra product, I'll get it in the bags of all the players. She said, oh my God, that'd be amazing. So I remember not even that many, maybe 50 bars. My friend was doing the publicity, and I said, listen, I don't know what we could do with these. She got one better. I got a couple people that have video cameras, and it was before social media. Facebook just started, so people were doing blogs and all that.
Yep.
Got in a bunch of people's hands. Mario Lopez was there, Jessica Simpson, some different actors. And they just tried it, and I got people to try it on camera. Now, keep in mind, I knew nothing about marketing or PR. I just figured if I can get in people's hands. So I got this content together, sent it to them, and they're like, holy shit, like, how do you know these people? I said, well, that's my day job. I take care of people. And it just evolved. I just started helping build relationships. And after it was actually 9 months. I'd visit them in the office. Their office was down in Paramount, which was in the ghetto. And when I first visited their office, I was like, they're not going to be in business in 6 months. It was in this little shitty industrial strip mall. There was nothing promising about it, but they were grit. They were making these bars by hand. And honestly, over a course of about 9 months, it kind of became my why. Even though I loved doing the bodyguard business, they were changing people's lives, people writing, blogs saying, oh my God, I lost 25 pounds.
Oh, wow.
And it really became a movement. And after about 9 months, they said, hey, we want to put you on the payroll. We're stealing from you. And I was like, no, I don't want your money. I don't need your money. They said, listen, we're going to start paying you. You could give it to charity, but we want to start paying you. And then I really felt obligated to help them. Once I started getting paid, I was like, oh, shit.
Now the pressure's on, right?
Yeah.
That's funny.
I mean, I continue talking about it, but it just evolved. And there was no structure. There was no plan. I mean, one guy was in charge of R&D. One was in charge of sales and marketing. And they said, hey, we need help everywhere. I just started carving out relationships. And I still was doing the bodyguard business. So, Extra, Mario was still a client, so I brought it on a set of Extra. I remember one day Mario was giving out to the crowd.
Wow.
Just like organically.
Yeah.
But I would always grab that stuff and show them, and they'd be like, oh my God, like they were so perplexed how I knew people, which that was my living, right? I went from that to being the chief communications officer. But I built out the events department, the ambassador program, worked with you when we were doing commercials.
Yeah.
Anything that needed, and I always tell people this, I just brought value.
Right.
Because there was I would overhear them say, oh, we need to get some furniture for the office. I'd go out on the weekend and just buy it. Put it on my credit card. It'd show up. I just did whatever it took. And I always tell people, listen, there's opportunities like that. So I just did whatever it took to build the company.
That's amazing. And it became one of the most successful companies in the world, really.
Yeah.
My understanding is that, Shannon, right, started making them in her kitchen, in her single oven, and then it turned into a...
Is that how it started?
She was making them by hand in her kitchen. It was strictly for the girl. She was doing boot camps on weekends, group of girls doing, workouts.
Yeah.
She'd bring the bars and she started selling them. And her husband, Ron, had the business acumen. He was actually in a tech space, but he goes, there might be something here. We need to figure out how we commercialize this. And they actually messed around for about a year. They couldn't get the formula right. There's a thing in food called water activation where things mold and rot.
Right.
You can't have water in it. So he hired a food scientist, worked through all the kinks, went to his partners who had a tech business and said, hey guys, I really want to make these bars. They got up and walked out of the room. They said, we're not in the protein bar business, Ron. We're in tech. Let's go back to tech and make money. So he did it all behind the scenes, got to the point where he had a website set up and had the bars made and said, listen, let's just give it a shot. Sorry, Ron, we'll humor you. We'll give it a shot. They popped it up on a website and started selling them. Yeah. Amazing. And she made the first 14 flavors.
Wow.
In her kitchen. She would obviously make them, and then we'd take them to the office and have a kitchen and make them a little, scale them, but she made them all.
Yeah. I remember I forgot where those offices were, but it was huge, and walking through all of the stuff and seeing product that they were testing, trying, stuff that never made it to, grocery store, any of the stores or anything to the public, but like I think they had like ice cream, and then I tried on this VR headset when VR wasn't even like a thing yet, and they were seeing you could do all this marketing within VR, and I was in space like looking around. And there's like Quest up in the corner, but there was always, it seemed like Quest was consistently innovating.
What was interesting about our R&D department, most companies have scientists and people with PhDs. There's no one at Quest that had a degree in anything. They were just kids that were like foodies. And they just figured it out. But truly, no scientists.
Yeah, that's amazing. Because it honestly was what you said, where there was nothing on the market that was like that. Everything else tastes like chalk or was gross or like, and you have a Quest bar, you're like, this is amazing.
Yeah, and when you joined us, it was interesting because you talk about there was things that we would like. We'd make ice cream, we'd make peanut butter, and I'd be like, "Oh, let's take some test amazing. Let's take it to market." Now we would shelve it.
Yeah,
we would probably shelve more things than we would put to market.
Wow.
Why is that? Just bandwidth?
Down to the finite where I never consider myself. I'm not a super foodie, but sometimes you taste something, and if you really you could taste the sweetener and stuff. So we would just shelve things because it wasn't perfect. Move on to the next.
Yeah, or some things didn't have a shelf life that were long enough to even last. So.
And bars were really our expertise. So we ended up having, I think, 22 flavors of bars, and then we rolled out the cookies. But everything was a process, and it's so finite to get it done. A reason why. And there's things that we just shelve and never revisit.
I can tell you.
You don't want to spread too thin.
Yeah,
either,
exactly.
And I'm smart.
Yeah, I mean, the bars were great. The cookies were great. The chips are great. The pizza was great. Like, everything that came through Quest was just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I knew everybody, I would get these little boxes shipped like once a month or something like that. And people come over and just try to steal them all the time.
Right.
And I'm like,
dude, I would steal them.
Yeah.
But my job was great because it's interesting. Most of the people that come in were introverts. And I'm somewhat of an introvert, but I became an extrovert because they'd say, hey, GNC has this charity golf tournament. I say, I'll go. I flew to Pittsburgh. Vitamin Shop has a charity bike ride. I'll go.
That's amazing.
CrossFit event. So I was literally, I did some math the other day. For about 6 years straight, I was on the road 40 weekends a year.
Ooh.
I would leave the office either on a Thursday night or a Friday morning, fly to the CrossFit games, fly to a WWE event, fly to a bodybuilding show, and I would be back in the office Monday morning. And that was my reputation. And they would even say, wait, we just saw you on Instagram in Massachusetts Sunday night. And I'd be back Monday morning. But that's kind of the reputation I built. And that's where I think I earned the sweat equity I had.
Right.
Because no one, I always tell us it's not hard to be the top 10% in anything. You just have to do just a little more than the next person.
There's a lot to be said about it's not even like guerrilla marketing. It's just like getting out there and getting it done. Yeah. Right. Like I love hearing that. Like even the sofa thing or the furniture thing in the office, it's like so many people would like, well, should we order it? Should we plan it? You're like, no, I'm going to get furniture right now.
Thank you for watching Studio 22.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
And follow our socials at Studio 22 Podcast.